Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Body and Soul Expo podcast, your go-to source for holistic health and wellness. I'm your host, Bruce Starr. Mark your calendars and join us on Sunday, October 26, 2025, at the beautiful Palm Beach Gardens Marriott. It's going to be an incredible event, a truly transformative day you won't want to miss. We're proud to feature over 60 incredible vendors, many of whom are also powerful, innovative speakers, sharing profound insights into the world of new and tried and true healing modalities and products. You'll just have to discover it for yourself. The Body and Soul Expo is a culmination of Lauren's nearly 3 decades in the health and wellness arena and my 4 decades in the entertainment industry, from being a Hollywood talent agent and manager to television, radio, and podcasting. So for the latest updates, information, and exciting news and special announcements, please look for and follow our Body and Soul Expo Facebook site. And for the deeper dive into what our expo will offer, definitely visit our bodyandsoulexpo.org website and take the time to investigate all you will see there. Today, we are going to be doing another inspiring episode of the Body and Soul podcast, where we showcase talents and experiences and knowledge of the wonderful vendors and speakers who will be appearing at the expo. Today, our guest is someone whose presence alone seems to shift energy. Halley, Elise, a sacred alchemist and intuitive luminary for soul-centered transformation, with over 40 years of experience guiding individuals to awaken their inner wisdom and align with their divine potential. She blends ancient practices with intuitive insight to help people dissolve conditioned limitations, elevate their energetic frequency, and embody their most powerful selves. From empowering private sessions to transformational speaking engagements, Halley's work bridges the seen and unseen, helping others to not only heal, but truly awaken. Halley, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here with us.
Thank you, Bruce. I'm delighted to be here today. I'm really looking forward to the event.
Excellent. We are really excited about that as well. And by the time people see these incredible podcasts with people like you, just sharing their expertise, people are going to be kind of frothing at the mouth to get in. Have you ever seen those pictures of Macy's the day before Black Friday? I envision people waiting online to get into our expo. And by the way, around 8:30 in the morning to about 9, we're going to have like prayer sessions and gratitude sessions, and we'll be doing all sorts of interesting things to welcome and bless the show. And then the show starts at 9, goes until 6, and then we're going to have some great evening festivities. But I really look forward to learning all about you, Halley. Please tell me what you would like all of us to know about you.
Okay. I think the first thing everyone should know is I do this because I love what I do. I love seeing light bulbs go on with people, whether they're in the audience or they're in the office. And recently I had someone sit with me and she says, "What are you?" And I thought to myself, well, that's a really interesting question. I asked, "What do you mean?" She says, "What you're doing here. I just got rid of something that I've been dealing with for years and I don't feel it anymore." I guess the biggest thing truly beyond that is I want you to see that the light that exists within is always there. So many people think, no, I'm not good enough, or I'm I'm broken because of the way I was raised, or the relationship, or I just can't get ahead because I'm not lucky. You know, rich people get ahead, but I can't because. And the truth is that we all are equal. And sadly, we typically don't see that. The reason I love alchemy so much, I'm not taking straw and spinning it into gold, but what I am doing is I'm playing with energy. And maybe I should say I'm dancing with energy. I'm allowing you to recognize that light that exists within you, that divine light that's always been there. Now, if you're coming to me specifically for a psychic reading, we will focus on what it is that's important to you in that moment. However, what often comes up is how come you're in the position you're in now, or about what the future holds that you really want to tap into and how to get there.
So, Halley, when people come to see you privately, let's start with that.
Okay.
People come to see you where you are, I assume, or do you make house calls, or how does that work?
They come to my office unless they're out of the country. I have a lot of folks that I deal with over the phone. Periodically, I have a client that's been with me for 25 years or 30 years. I may go to them if they have several people that they'd like me to meet. But the majority of the time, I'm either at the office for them to meet or over the phone.
So, when they come to see you, what can they expect to happen?
If they're booking a session specifically for a reading, they sit down, we greet each other. I make sure that they're comfortable, and I can usually recognize where their energy is. So, for instance, if somebody comes in and they're smiling, but I'm feeling that they're agitated or they're overwhelmed, well, then I address that first. And we do a little practice or two to bring their energy into alignment so they're open to receive as well as calm. Then we dive in and I just start talking. People always say, well, aren't you going to lay out a card? No. Aren't you going to do this? No. And I could cast shells or stones or read tarot. However, I've been just divining information since I was a kid, before I knew what the heck I was doing. And just so everybody knows, truly, I've studied this in addition to it being with me. In other words, I didn't just take for granted that, oh, I can do this. Look at me. No, I know, this much in comparisons to what's out there in the world. A lot of people that come to me are very learned. They just haven't realized it. And then you start to talk with them. They're like, wow, I remember that from when I was a kid. Or, I had something come up. Yeah, I do recognize that. Most folks that come in the door come in with something pending that they want information on. And I help them get that enlightenment. But I also help them recognize the tools they have within their own tool bag that they can tap into at any moment to shift a bad situation, or to go into wellness instead of health, or to attract what it is that they really want. They have divinity within.
Tell me about young Halley. You mentioned that when you were very young, you knew something was going on. That I don't know how to explain this, but this is my neighbor next door is not going through this. So tell us about young Halley.
So there's a couple of things. When I was really young, I used to go play out back. We lived in New York, and I'd come in and I'd tell my folks about how the rocks were communicating with me and the plants were communicating with me. And they would just smile and shake their head because to them, they thought, oh, it was my imagination. However, they started to notice that when we would go outside, if there was a bird in a tree, it would come in my direction, not to attack, but to get close to me. I'd have animals following me home constantly. My mom used to say I was the Pied Piper of animals because we ended up with quite a few of them. I used to hide them actually. They'd come in the house with me and I would find the storage unit downstairs and I'd have kittens and birds and squirrels. The superintendent used to come upstairs to my mom and dad and go, we have a little problem again. So these types of things are energy, but I didn't know that until I knew that. And so many people have that gift where they have a connection to nature or they have an awareness of energy. Anyways, that was real little. As I got older, my grandmother worked in the fashion field and she would bring me the most magnificent pieces of jewelry and clothing. She often, brought watches. And she'd hand me one. I'd go, oh, yay, get so excited. And I put it on and it stopped. Just stop. And my mom would go, let me see that. And my grandmother would go, that doesn't make sense. I just brought it. But we realized after it happened more than once, like every single time they brought a watch in, that I probably shouldn't wear watches. And my mom would say, what is that? Like what's going on? Is your pulse? Think back. Oh my gosh, I'm 62. So think back 50 plus years ago, people were not as aware. I'll say the general public was not as aware of energy and how it's transmitted and how its vibrancy can have an impact on electronics or on batteries or any of those things. People that study Reiki and other sources of energy work often start to realize, oh, wait, I can manipulate energy. And with that, then they're able to actually make things happen. For instance, a car battery can die and somebody can do some energy work on it and it starts up without the motor club.
Wow, that's pretty valuable stuff.
It's great. It really is.
So, Halley, what do people come to you for different reasons? Like some people read, some people are, there's lots of different reasons. Do you have different tools, different things that you do for different people when they come and see you?
I work very much like a shaman in the sense that I use a myriad of tools, and they're not tools as far as tangible in your hand, but more a matter of tools that you can tap into. So, for instance, meditation, breath work, different types of synergy, if you will, of your energy at certain times of the day. So, for instance, with yoga, there is a position called downward facing dog. There's one that has to do with morning greeting. I don't recall exactly what the name of it is, but it has to do with the sun, like sun salutation. Those are not just names. They came about because the practitioners were using them to call in, to invoke energy, to raise their vibration. Oftentimes, if somebody comes in and there's a specific problem, I will help them with that. But I also have studied neuroscience. I'm also clinically certified in hypnosis. I tend to combine the different methodologies to help the person with whatever it is they need. Not every methodology works for every person, and not every person needs every methodology. However, rituals and ceremony, we do all the time and we don't even realize. For instance, we brush our teeth every morning. That's a ritual. We celebrate the holidays. That's a ceremony, but we kind of take that for granted. I just help them get more laser focused. A lot of folks come to me because there's sadness somewhere within them. I had a lady, for instance, a couple of weeks ago who came in, and if you looked at her, she was very put together. She walked with grace. She had a beautiful smile. And as soon as she walked in, I had this pang in my heart. And I thought, whew. So we sat down, and something came up immediately about there was a problem with her daughter. And she confirmed it. Yes, they had a conflict. She hadn't spoken to her in some time. And we began to work on not dissecting and not improving, because nobody's ever really, if you will, wrong or bad. It's just energy is out of alignment. We helped her realign that. And in turn, within 24 hours, surprisingly and happily, her daughter called her and they started to talk again.
So, Halley, you've written a book, and I would love to learn all about that because I bet you that's going to be one interesting book for people to read.
Well, the most recent one is called The Change, and it is an anthology with several of us. I'm luckily featured on the front cover, but several of us who talk about spiritual development, personal development, really tapping into who you are. Within the book, I have a parable about a few very interesting characters who begin to understand what sacred alchemy of being and sacred alchemy of their soul is. And it's quite intriguing because you follow the main character through a myriad of events that are so surprising. And yet I think a lot of people can relate to him because he comes from a very, very sad place and is transformed.
And where can people find this book?
I will have it with me at the event. And if I can get my act together with my technology, I will have a link available soon for the public to reach the publisher and get it directly. And it will be also available in bookstores in a myriad of places very soon.
Excellent. I've written a couple of books. I'm always curious to hear about other people's experiences. So I don't mean to put you on the spot,
Sure
but
you do.
but
But go ahead.
but uh, do you would you like to do a little mini reading about me? And are you pick? Is there anything over this conversation that you're picking up that might be a little unusual or helpful?
Okay. I wasn't focused on that, but it's easy enough to shift into your field and take a look. One of the first things that comes up, which is kind of funny, is when you were younger, you were a really tough cookie. And a lot of people still see you as that, not mean, but in control, stern, having to be paid attention to. And as you've gotten a bit older, just a couple of years, you've actually tapped more into your heart and that part of you that is more expansive, very much of what we've been talking about as far as like knowing that inner light and that connectedness. And it's really interesting because as that started, and I feel like it's been quite a few years, but specifically I'm getting 5 years. The last 5 years has been really a push to share that part of yourself with other people. That's part of the catalyst, I feel, in respect to what you're doing with the event. It's not just about you personally, but it's about touching other people's lives. And even though you've been in, we'll say, the public eye for some time, the way that you're doing things now, and in the past 5 years specifically, is very different than if you look back 20 years ago. And it feels like there was some sort of sales in your background. I don't know if that meant direct sales or if that was somewhere in the background, but it feels like there was some sort of sales there, which kind of gives you an edge on putting together events because you have an understanding of how those things work. Shifting gears here, it feels as if, and I am not a medium, and so that folks are clear, a medium is somebody who connects to the deceased. That's not who I am, though every once in a while I get an inkling. I get a female energy around you of somebody who is no longer present in the physical. And it feels like somebody who you were the apple of their eye. That's the best way that I can explain it. And I feel like she's still very much around you. And it's as if she walks behind you sometimes and just gives you a hug to let you know that she's here.
That's
Very,
great.
yes. And if I may, I'm getting lower back, I want to say L5, 6, 7, going down towards sacrum. So that's the lower, not just the back, but the lower vertebrae. There's some sensitivity there. To me, that has to do with something older versus newer. Feels like you need to nurture your lower back better than what you have been doing. So what I would suggest, if you're open to it, is thinking in terms of doing some very gentle stretching in the morning and in the evening. Obviously, massage, chiropractor, orthopedic, whomever you're most comfortable with could be helpful there. But I do feel like specifically, yeah, I keep going back to L5 for some reason, L5, L4, that there's I'll call it a trigger there. So you could be perfectly fine. And then for no reason, it feels like maybe your legs or sciatic feel uncomfortable, but that lower back across the buttocks periodically feels like it's just off kilter. Here too, I feel like there needs to be more stretching, but to me, it's a matter of literally moving the energy. The other part of this is inflammation that I feel like gets triggered there, as well as I get knees. So lower extremities, and this is interesting because it feels like your root chakra is in great shape, but for some reason, sacral seems to be slightly askew, and solar plexus, funny enough, because you come across as so complete, so confident, so in command. And yet it feels like your solar plexus is just slightly askew. So I would suggest, if you're open to it, focusing on those two chakras specifically, or you could simply allow light, literally light, to come through, move through you, and all the way down into the earth and connect. And you can do that through creative visualization, or you can do it through using some meditation techniques. One of the easiest things to do, and I notice you have the ocean behind you and you like the water, would be to swim. Yes, yes, that would be great for you for that resistance and also to move that energy within your body. Do you have a specific question you wanted to address?
No, I thought that that was really terrific. When I was 15, I used to be a real soft kid. And when I was 15, something happened and my family started calling me Nails. that tough thing that you
Tough
said.
cookie.
Of course, I didn't see that in me at all, but no, that was so helpful. And I could see why your clients come to you because even just the few minutes that we spent together, it can be life changing in many ways. And so I see tremendous value in your work. When people come to the booth,
Mhm.
what are you prepared to do there? Are you prepared to do mini sessions? Sell your time. What did you have in mind?
Okay. I will expand on anything that's said in my presentation when I'm speaking. So if anyone has any questions about the period of time that I'm on stage, I will elaborate for them. I will do mini spiritual sessions, and that is for payment as well. I will have my book available.
Excellent. Well, this has been spectacular.
Thank you.
Really nice getting to know you, and so impressed with what you do and how you do. I like this about us doing that little thing together and showing what you actually do rather than talking about it. And I want to thank you so much for doing the podcast with me. And I do look forward to meeting you sometime in the very near future.
Me too. Thank you so much, Bruce.
Thank you, Halley. Bye bye, everybody. See you next time. And thank you for watching the Body and Soul Expo podcast. Take care, everybody. Until next time.